Okay. Hey, Cole. Now, I just want to run through some of the things we want to talk about. Just get into rates calc. Is there any way we can extend the 20 minutes? Because I'm finding that I keep losing my data if I walk away to ask something to somebody and come back and it's gone again. So I have to restart from the start again. Now, just want to talk about when we come through RDB and we actually hit on a landing page like this. That's fine. The consultants will actually look at here to make sure they got the WIC code. But their first initial thing would be go to add calculation, but I'm sure that's not linked to the rate mapper. So they've already been in RDB into the client and gone straight in. But if they have to go through here, then they have to call the client and the division if it's a level 2 level of the client to pull it up. I'm pretty sure we're going to have people getting through here, going halfway and realising they're not on the rates mapper against a certified agreement. So that's going to be a big issue. If there's something that they can actually go straight into the rates mapper from the screen with preset of exactly the client they've actually already been linked to. Second thing is down here where we have to add the WIC codes, because this is if we go in as a parent, it's looking at the state, so we had to put all those WICs, every WIC, into 5 different states, which is really a nightmare when we're updating WICs or choosing the right WIC. At the moment, the label is coming up with reference of the state that it's linked to, but the description which we want them to look at. Is there any way we can hide the slash linked state, because people aren't looking at the front, they're looking at the front or in the middle, and that's us, and we know that's there. Also, if there's no way around doing a parent WIC, because we can't just put one in for all states, I need to be able to pull out a CSV file of all the WICs and each state that we've got and what rates, so that when I want to update them in a bulk, I can just update the CSV file and import it again, because it's just changing 5 the other day for 5 over 5 states. It's a bit of a nightmare to do that. So then that goes down to, now I'll just go into a quote. So at the moment, because I want to go through rates mapper, I can't use that. Got to go down here, add a quote, again call up a customer. Let's call up AWX. Now if I want to choose a award, hospitality. Now because I'm going to create a position, a template, I want to create all levels. So I'm not going to drill down on them, but you can see how many levels this one's got. So if I go down here, there's 15 levels, because it's actually got all the juniors and everything, which we do want to quote on. But I can't see a select all button, and I have to go through each page to do that. I think we mentioned it once before, but it's still not coming up. With this, is there any way, because some of the guys just want a quick reference to what is the rate, the base rate even, or the rates, is there any way we can drop that into Excel from there, so or is there a lookup page? Have you got a reference lookup of each of the awards for the certified agreement? Because we used to have an Excel spreadsheet called the rate mapper, which is where this came from, so the guys could actually see at least the base modern award rate and the certified agreement rate without having to go halfway through a quote to do so. And at the moment, they have to go all the way through to a PDF to get the real pay and charge. But I just want, at the moment, we just want the pay to show up for a review. So like a quick review of rates against each level for each award, whether it's actually in this quote or another tool that they can just call up a thing and just seeing the certified agreement and the modern award rate level by level. That would be really handy, because I know as soon as we get them on here, they'll be talking to the client and just want to quote a rate over the phone, and they'll have to take time to select all these stuff and get halfway through it before they can give them a price. So if I was going to do that, I'll just put you on pause so I can tick off for the next half an hour. Just a sec. Okay, so I can only get through 5 before I gave up. So imagine there's another 3 times this time we get to the next screen. So again, when on here, it's still coming up with the level at level 6, and it goes back to introductory. I know that's for the junior and everything, but I think it's when it goes to the next, the final page of the award, it gets a bit scattered all the way through the last time we went into it. So I just submit them. Great. That's what I want. If I lose this, I'm going to crack. Okay. So this is only 5 out of the 15 pages I bothered to tick. Over here, certified agreement, that's the modern award, but it doesn't actually say the modern award, and this is the certified agreement. So I'm guessing if I tick just the award, only those guys will turn up. If I tick all of them, both come up. See how it comes up there with the introductory adult? It probably should come up over here. That just a little bit, may need just a little bit more of a header, like this is the modern award ones, this is the levels, or whether you don't, I'm not too sure whether because that's doing it. I just don't know if that'll confuse them or not, having nothing to identify what that is. So I know the other day that goes in level, but when the next screen it doesn't go into level. So if I want to add a pay element, say if I'm going to certified agreement, I understand if we're paying against a modern award and there's going to be a few things, maybe this one here, we're going to change it to the same pay element. We'll change it to our overtime rate and then knock off this one so it doesn't double up. That's fine, but when I change it to the certified agreement, I want to be able to put in another rate of additional hours. Now, if I did that and it was supposed to be the same price as the hourly rate, if I took everything else off, when you do the wage increase at the end of the financial year, how will that know to duplicate that? Because that's what it needs to do to keep the bare minimum, if that was the minimum. So initially, usually if I would change that hourly rate, that's the hourly rate that's in the pay item for your award. If I change that to casual hourly rate, this additional hours, is it automatically won't go under that rate? If it is, that's fine, but it needs to duplicate that rate. So if they actually are $25 and they're getting paid above, this one has to be exactly the same as that one for the additional hourly rate, because what it is over 38 hours they don't get super. So they actually have a pay element called additional hours. So we actually have the same base rate. One's got super, one's got not. So if you can think of how that line item can be done, and when at the end of the financial year as the increase, that's just not left as it was, because otherwise all the quotes will be wrong. But anyway, the other day we went in here, we actually changed all these to different pay items. And one of the questions was, if I actually change this one here, see this night work to 26.21, and I just called it anything, a night work, whatever, will it automatically update that field, even though I've changed it into a different name at the pay rise time? Will it automatically change that field in the background to that rate? Because if I just change that to additional hourly rate, thinking I'll just use this field like a dummy field, will that populate at the end of the financial year and screw it up? So, because I know Gemma and I were working on one the other day, and we were pulling up the first one off the rank and just changing it, and then I said, oh, I think it might update it at the end of year and cause a problem, so we had to ditch that one. So anyway, I'll just put these ones in. So I've just changed those three to see if it works across the board. And then we can change that. Now we were talking about on that bulk edit screen, if we want to have hang on, it just died. Oh, where am I gone? I've gone back to two screens. Yeah, on that bulk edit screen, we were actually thinking, is there, if we wanted to add a pay element that wasn't there, do we just override one that is there and screw up the rates on the versioning, or is there a space where we can add a pay element so that we don't have to do it to each level? That's once it gets into the award levels on the screen. So then we go to edit charge. Now, if we're creating a template, it'll put this one, the WIC code, back to 0 because it's not linked to a customer, and the payroll tax to 0 because it's not a customer. And when we bring a position template in, it'll override that with the client's one, which is okay. We just have to make sure that they're actually using the right one. If we've actually put a schedule rate, it's okay if we haven't put any margin in it, but if we've actually put a schedule rate like we then do for Expected Star and they pull it in, it'll actually increase that WIC, will actually push, and the payroll tax will actually push it out. And that's when I think it should have a message saying your WIC rate and your payroll tax rate has changed since setup. Do you wish to absorb this or actually change the charge rate by increasing or decreasing this, because otherwise they'll just push it out thinking they've picked up a schedule rate, and it's screwed it up because that schedule rate's not against that. It might be payroll tax exempt, and a lot of their customers are. So on certain things we don't want it to change the actual charge rate, and other times when we haven't put a charge rate in there yet, we're using it as a template that they can add the margin on. So I think a choice at this section would be what we need. Now, also here, I know we've got this bulk, so if we just put a date in, we've got the bulk finance, administration and other costs. And if I press save, requirement options, I know we've got added new on costs, but what about if you want a margin just straight across 6%? I do think that back on that bulk edit page, beside how we change the first, if we change anything on the first pay schedule, it'll change it all the way through for all the pay schedules. That beside each pay element, I think we should actually have the margin there, so that if you say 10% across the board, or on majority of things, it would then push it out, because otherwise we have to go through each one. And you can see here the amount of tabs we've got. Now I've only pressed a third of the hospitality award, and like add 3 more times this level. I'll spend a day on this one award trying to either edit it, because if I save this one as a template, if they only want to price it up for adults, they have to go in here and delete all the juniors. They have to go and delete all the maybe store persons or anything. And there's just got to be, it's okay if you're only pressing 5 levels of one little award, all good, they can come and do it. But if you're trying to, we're trying to create templates so it's all linked and everything to go, they're going to spend their time trying to delete what they don't want, or editing things. So if that margin, if there was something beside it one step earlier instead of here, they can review it here, but it would actually then only have to put that margin in once across the board, or if it's like a $2.50 markup. Fair enough, they can go in and change if they want certain items to be different, but if they want a general blanket rule, usually they have allowances. They have the same margin across the board except for allowances. That would help. When we do get into here, on these big, I know on the little awards, as I said, it wouldn't be a big issue, but on these ones, if there is if you imagine when we're creating it, yeah, we have to go through each level and set it up. But if you actually called up this one and from a template, you don't have that bulk edit screen so that you can say I only want store persons or I only want food and beverage. They would have to go into this template, pick up each one and delete it one by one, and they'd probably delete various ones, a big chunk of them all the way through. So they really need to have something here that they can actually call up all casino electric people or whatever and actually go delete them. I don't need them. So either they need something like a bulk edit screen, whether they can actually say from a template, I want these ones or I want these pay elements, because we're setting them up so that all pay elements are linked. They have to go in here, first of all, remove any levels or job roles they don't want, and then go through each one and delete any pay items they don't want. If they're not paying against the award, they might only choose 3 out of the penalties out of the 10, and they have to go and delete more. So I know that we have to do it from the start. We have got that choice from the edit screen, but once you get into a template, you don't have that choice to drill down. So I think from a template, you need to have a little bit more flexibility to edit. Otherwise, the template becomes too cumbersome to use, and we want them to use a template because we've mapped them to the pay elements. Just a sec, I'm just reading it. Now I just test that one that first one off the rank to see if it held that change of pay code. So that one did. Oh, it's a bit weird. It's only brought that one through. Maybe it was the only one ticked. Yeah. So certified agreement, it only brought in through casual hourly. Additional hours, it brought through the whole lot. So modern award, it brought through the whole lot. So usually the certified agreement we would need whatever we change the front one to. So I think something's not working there to bring it through. I just try a different level. Yeah, the certified agreement only, if I choose certified agreement, it only brings through the one pay code. If I choose modern award, it brings over all of them. So if you can have a look at that. Let's see. Okay, so we just located this, which is new to us, which is good. So as I was saying, which I think we could incorporate this, if you call up a template and they come over with, 30 of these little tabs, I know here if we move these around, it would move all of these guys around. Is there something in here that we could go delete? Like right click delete if we don't want it to show up, so we could scroll down the list, probably have a filter here for by job role, like all the casinos, and go bulk delete off it, and probably another one for pay elements, show all the pay elements that are in that chart and bulk delete, or group them, get rid of them, or add new ones so that they're in there without having to do it over 30 times. So I think, because if we're going to use the templates, if you want to get use out of the templates and you can't have access to that bulk edit because it's already gone past it, it just needs something to help, because you want the bulk template to actually have everything set up ready to go, except for which choice of which ones they want may vary between the quotes that they're doing. So that's good. I did notice that time that it did work, that we're in modern award at the moment, so it did carry through the names, but again, didn't bring all over the pay elements for a certified, if I flick it back to a certified agreement. If the other day when I was putting in, I didn't change the base, but I chose something else, say like overtime, and I put $15 in it, let me do it. Oh, that one didn't. Okay, that's pretty good. Must be new. Maybe if I change this one. Yep. So that's really just try additional hours because I've changed it. Okay. So because that one there, I want it to be additional hours, which is duplicate there, but because it's reading in the background what it originally was, it won't let me go past 27. So I can't just change a name that means nothing to that original pay item. Yep. So if I just go back into one, if I want to add a pay element, say if I didn't put it at the front, and if I could do a bulk add additional hours somewhere, if I wanted to go add pay code item, that pay code, these are against the award, not ours. If I go back and change the award to certified agreement, and go add pay item, they're not ours either. So I don't know whose are they, but it looks different to the modern award groups, but they're not ours. But my problem is, how do we map it? Like, I want it to be ours, but I want it to be able to have it when you do the new version of pay increases, that it actually has something to link it to know which rate to up it by. Otherwise, it'll become like a redundant rate that won't get increased because it doesn't belong to anything originated from your modern award. But yeah, this is not our list, so I don't know. Or no, it's not our list. So if you can get back to us on that one. What we're going to do, I'll talk to Phil about giving him a payroll and email address for RDB for that. We're going to have a fixed one in the background so that it sends the information to us once somebody has approved a rate. I know the award levels works fine, but we want to know, is there somewhere where we can have an internal, somewhere, add a new note, maybe that one. The only thing is, for say that's a payroll structure that's going on all the quote, is there a box that we can actually, and I know we can add a new one, is there one that we can actually add so that when Gemma and I get the payroll structure, if there's something internal that they want us to give to us that's something to do with that payroll structure that they really don't want on the written code, that we can actually have an internal box for more information and it doesn't get put on the quote. Just one more thing. I know some of the levels, say for Expect to Start, they have 3 levels of certs, Cert 3.1, 3.2, 0.3. On the line item that we're calling it for the customer, it'll have the same thing, Cert 3. So they pay one figure and charge the same figure. We do that a few times. We might have to get a labourer out, and most people on that job are paid $24. This guy's pretty good. He pays 26, but we don't recover anything different from the client. It might be a set rate, but because it's going to create, we have to do 2 levels or duplicate one and change it up with a different pay rate. On the quote, it's going to actually come up with labourer twice with the same rate, because in the background we're not showing the pay rate to show there is a variance. So we may need to actually choose which levels actually are shown on the quote, because some of them will be otherwise. They might have, well, in Expect to Start's case, they might have 4 rates exactly the same charge but different pay, and we don't notify the customer of the different pay rate. And I think, is that about it yet, Zach? Yep, I think that's about it. So if you can let us know about those ones. At the moment, where we're at, we're waiting for the reverse calculator to move forward, because it's just, we tried and it's just too hard to work to set them up trying to base them, especially setting up the schedule rates for Expector Star. We've put one in there, and that was took us a whole day trying to back calculate the margin. So we're waiting for that reverse calculator. So our next step then is actually to create all the templates for AWX, which would be all the building construction. Again, because we have to do every level so that they've got a choice. We want to know, if we're going to create all these ones, say for hospitality here, and they'd have probably over 50 tabs if I ticked up the whole 15 pages. If we can't edit from a template, I'll have to think of another way what to do with these big awards, because the guys won't want to be going into each tab, deleting them. So, and I don't really want to create a position template for gardeners, hospitality gardeners, adults, and one for 16-year-olds and one for 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds. Otherwise, my template files, if you did that for every award broken down by a role, it'd be huge. Plus, if they want to do one quote for hospitality for different positions, sending out 5 or 6 different PDFs is going to be really not cost effective at all. So we've been holding off on doing that. So nobody's gone live. We've got nothing in here. We just need to, we're basically been waiting till everything, the reverse calculator to get started. But when we were doing these hospitality ones the other day and Expector Stars, we realised that it's still, we've quickened it up for our end to create them from the bulk edit screen, which is good. But pulling up a template for them is going to be more time consuming still for them getting to this screen. We've got all the clients, well, not all the clients, we've imported Newcastle and Expector Stars clients just from a CSV file from Fast Track, and we know that the parent ones came across with no addresses. So because we can nearly clear everything we've got in there, we've made a couple of templates. I just want to see Phil about clearing all those customers out, and Alana is going to give me a new CSV file to put in so that we can start creating the position templates for everybody. What we're trying to do is create the position templates in RatesCalc, just Zach and Gemma and I, so that when the percentage rate comes in for increase 30 June, or for 30 June, that we will actually put it in the system and generate what the pay and charge are for everybody, because people won't be starting to go live on RatesCalc until Expector Star will be in July. But we basically got to get through this financial year increase, but to do that we need all the position templates in there, and we need to get them in fast. So if you can give us an idea of timeframes around or availability of what we requested, that'd be great.